All right, Kyle. I do remember a certain podcast and certain hosts from a podcast saying, why not a blowout? That's exactly what we got. Clearly, the Avalanche listened to Locked On Avalanche because there's no other explanation for the Avalanche to rout the San Jose Sharks 6-0. This makes you feel good, at least for the next 48 hours. Let's get into this game. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the latest edition of Locked On Avalanche. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Follow us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And, of course, follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. We have a sound check to get to. We can finally get back to the winning songs that we like to pick for our sound check. But we're going to kind of go through this game, a 6-0 win for the Colorado Avalanche. And if it wasn't the most dominant game of the year, it's definitely with like in the top 2 or 3. I hesitate to really want to throw it up at number 1 because of the opponent. But at the same time, like we were saying yesterday, the way the Avalanche have been playing and playing against some of the lesser teams in the league, nothing is guaranteed for this team right now. But this also goes to show you, when this team is down and they know they can play better, and an opponent who is one of the worst teams in the league comes in, it was just ripe for the picking for the Avalanche to just roll over San Jose. They needed to, they had to, and they did.
I am sick and tired of the Colorado Avalanche taking their foot off in the third period. No, enjoy the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, Sharks. After that performance, the Avalanche did everything you wanted in that game. You got scoring from all your favorite players. You got a shutout. You held the Sharks to 13 shots throughout the entire game. Mm-hmm. There was not an instance where you felt like your lead was in danger. Right. The team looked good. The passes looked good. Mikko was a little chirpy, but
not really, man.
When he got cross-checked into the boards and he scored that goal.
Yeah.
He
still said something.
Yeah, he was. Right. There was no selly. It was right in the face of the stripes.
I think it was almost like they're not gonna slap me with a penalty right after I score and then chirp at them. You know what I mean? That's a bad look for the refs if they do that. But it wasn't that bad. I think, and he was within his right there.
Yeah.
To say something. That's a dangerous hit.
Yeah, it was. It absolutely was. And it was that moment that we were talking about in yesterday's episode. This is where you have to step up and you have to, the Sharks are going to be chippy. You know that coming in. And there were a couple hits that were questionable. Tempers didn't flare up, but everybody is looking at Mikko and how he's going to respond. And in that moment, you're just like, oh, come on, please. And he managed. And I'm sure he got a nice little chirp from Bednar when he got to the bench, like, hey, that's enough. But
yeah, like I said, like I wonder what was said, but because I don't, like, when he got hit, he kind of just sat there on the ice and just kind of like put his palms up as if to say nothing. And if this was 2 days ago, he would have been saying something. But because of everything that happened, it's almost like, okay, lesson learned. What am I going to do? I'll get up and I'll just keep playing. And oh my God, look what's happening. Now we have a 2-on-1 and I'm going to rip home a goal, which was a power play goal, I believe. Yeah. So I think in some weird way, it's like he kind of he can now look at this and say, okay, wow, look what happens if I just keep my mouth shut and play. Although I wouldn't have had a problem if he wanted to say something after that play, because that's you can't be having those plays. And the fact that they didn't call anything on that twice. There was two different plays. Who was the other Avalanche that got cross-checked into the boards?
Cogs?
Maybe got it. It's escaping, but there was another one. And they didn't call it. I don't know why they're just letting that go left and right, but I would have been okay if Mikko got a little chippy after that play. But I think because of, like we were saying yesterday, the kind of reputation he's getting, I didn't like seeing that play, but I like seeing him turn around, sure, give the refs a look, just say like, okay, nothing. Okay, I'll get back up and keep playing, and then immediately net a goal. That was awesome.
I hate that we're now watching Avalanche games with like certain lenses. Like we have to watch Bo Byram hits in a certain way. And now we're watching Mikko, almost like that scene in Angels in the Outfield where they tell Danny Glover, stop using profanity and the Angels will help out the team.
Right.
Like that's how we're watching. That's how we're watching Mikko now. It's like, oh, he got hit. There was something 50-50 there. How is he going to react? And is this going to be a penalty that we have to kill off? It's something we got to watch for the remaining 20 games of the season.
You do, but this is I think a step in the right direction, because if he can keep his cool after something like that, I think it looks pretty good for him to hopefully continue to do that. But that obviously remains to be seen. The goal that he did score was the lone power play goal, and I'm not going to sit here and say like, well, if let's nitpick and talk about the Avalanche 1 for 5 on the power play. They were moving the puck around, just like they were in possession of the puck. It seemed like the entire game.
Yeah,
I can't remember a good rush that the Sharks had, or a moment where they really kept the puck in their offensive zone that really gave Georgiev like a run for his money. It had to make a sprawling save or anything like that. This was Avalanche, and even up 6-0 in the third. So like we're saying, like you get a team that's down like that, and then they just throw caution to the wind and just go for broke and just throw everything they can on net. The Sharks couldn't even muster that, right?
Let's
see, 6 shots on goal in the third for San Jose. 13 total.
The tempo of the entire game, it felt like the Avalanche were on a 60-minute power play.
Really did, man.
And when the Sharks went on the penalty kill, they were so defeated. There was no wind in their sails. There was nothing. Usually the Avalanche take advantage of a penalty kill. When you make a mistake, they capitalize and they can make that one extra pass, open it up. There's your goal. But the Sharks were so defeated in that moment. It was just everybody collapsed right around the crease. Like there was no mistakes. There was no real effort on the penalty kill, which is what made the power play look like we were passing too much and getting too cute with our possessions, because the Sharks just weren't even really trying at that point. It was almost a mercy rule.
I was thinking the same thing. Early, like, because all these goals happened in the first and second, right? They didn't get anything in the third, I don't believe. Let me just double check on that. No, nothing. So everything, yeah. And I was thinking that same thing. I was like, man, if this was like Little League Baseball, this might be some mercy rule. And Georgiev, 13 shots on net, 0 high danger attempts, none.
Give him a Vezina.
So and obviously they didn't score a goal, and the expected goals for San Jose was 0.78. So it wasn't even like the shots they were getting on net were not even like high danger shots or shots that you would expect a goal. You don't really see that from an NHL caliber team. And when you have a team that's on the standings where they are, and a team like the Avalanche, who are, in a playoff position, they're not at the top of the standings, obviously, but they are obviously a very good team. There's a big discrepancy between these two teams. And even when they play each other, it shouldn't be this wide in terms of like the deep analytics and the stats. You look at things like for 5-on-5, actually, no, for all situations. So 5-on-5 and power plays, and penalty kills. So the Corsi 4 for the Avalanche, which is all shots thrown to the net, blocked, missed, otherwise, was 70. The Corsi against was 35. So basically, the Sharks had you look at it this way: the Sharks had 35 shots that they attempted to throw on net that were either blocked, they missed the net. So they had 13 shots of those 35 shots thrown toward the nets. They had 13 shots, which actually Georgiev had to save. It was just a complete dominant effort, and you just saw, the difference between these two teams, and how many times during the season, like, this should be a game that the Avalanche should just have in their hand, in their grasp for the duration of it, and it hasn't happened here and there against teams like San Jose. This night, it was totally in their hands for, like you said, the full 60.
And the Sharks believed in this roster enough to scratch Jacob McDonald.
I thought about him early, and like Kaut too. I was like, oh, maybe we'll see those guys. And then as the game went on, and then the scoring just happened, completely left my mind that these.
It's nice to see Nico Sturm again.
Yeah, numbers in the rafters, right? But he won a cup. That's all that matters. All right. More to get to with this game. We'll break down some individual stats. They are impressive, as you might think, when it's a 6-0 game. And, of course, our sound check to get to. First, we're going to talk about FanDuel. And we are in the midst of the NBA season. So it's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get the no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to point scores and three-pointers drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get that no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked-on. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so we'll get into more with this dominating performance here. I'm happy because, like, it was just you had those 3 games that just, 2 of them you looked bad, and then the Kraken game, which you just let slip through your hands, even though you didn't play 100% in that game. Those are the games you got to battle out. You gain a point, fine. But this was one of those. It's like, okay, are we back on track again? And I hesitate to just be like, oh, the Avs are back. But for at least for this day off, you're gonna feel good. I don't care how good or bad or up and down the season has gone. When you play a game like this and you shut out a team 6-0, don't even care that they're a team that's in the running for Connor Bedard. You needed this win. You needed this win in this fashion, and it's never guaranteed that you can blow a team out in this sport, which is why I love this sport so much, because it's so difficult to win a game and win a championship. And we've obviously witnessed the Avalanche do all that stuff, but this year has not come easy for them. They're in a good spot for a playoff spot, and the percentages of them getting a playoff spot are very high, but you would just like to see them be a little bit more consistent. I don't know if this is going to help them do that for the remainder of the season, but I'm honestly not thinking about that right now. I think this was just a good, solid win. Everybody contributed. We talk about time on ice a lot. When you have a game like this, your time on ice is going to be pretty even, and it was. So nobody was overworked. Georgiev wasn't overworked, and things just you had the game in control.
This is one of those. I know we said it yesterday with the stretch of games. We're not making excuses if they lose. I'm also not ready to. Here we go, back-to-back cups, baby. Like, if you hold a team to 13 shots, that racks up 30 minutes of penalty time. And you should beat them. It doesn't matter who they are. Yeah. Like, this was a poor performance from the Sharks and a good performance from the Avalanche. They need to go into this Kings game not with the attitude of see, this is how it's done, boys. Let's go. No, this is how we need to do it night in, night out.
Right.
Like, let's keep this rolling. Not, we figured it out. Congratulations. High fives in the locker room. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
No, this is a build upon this process. You can do more, and you want to see the same performance in the Kings game. You don't want to see them take their foot off the gas.
No, not at all. And then it just gives them confidence. You get back in the W column, you get another 2 points, just gives you confidence, especially letting those 3 games slip through in different fashion. Stat wise, Avs, we were talking about the Sharks and the 13 shots on goal, Avs with 43. So just total domination there. And what did they have in the third? They only had 9 in the third. So 19 in the first period was just, once things got going, there was a little bit back and forth for a couple minutes. And then it was just nothing but Avalanche possession for that first and second, really. 19 shots in the first for the Avs, 15 in the second. That pesky face-off percentage, hey, all right, we're going to nitpick on that too. The Avs couldn't even win the face-off percentage. What the heck? But it was close, 53-48 in favor of the Sharks. 0 for 3 on the power play for San Jose, while the Avalanche went 1 for 5. Wow, San Jose with 42 hits on the night. I guess when you're down that much, you don't really have much going offensively, and you're playing defense pretty much the entire game. You have nothing to do but just throw your body around.
If you can't score, if you can't pass, if you can't block shots, you're going to hit.
Yeah. What else are you going to do? Points, individual, Cale Makar with a 4-point night. 1 goal, 3 assists. He was a +5 on the night. Stick with the defense. Devon Taves with 2 assists. He was a +4 on the night. Sammy G with an assist. You go over to the forwards. Val Nichushkin with a 4-point night. Same stat line. 1 goal, 3 assists, although he was a +4, not a +5 like Makar. Nathan McKinnon continues his hot streak. Was it 12 goals in 12 games now? Add an assist to that. So 2 points for him. He was a +4. Arturi Lehkonen, he had a goal and assist. He was a +4. I mean, this is just, isn't it? Mulligan with another goal. So that was his only point. You had Matt Nieto with an assist, and Mikko Rantanen with that 1 power play goal. Just top to bottom. I mean, you had Val Nichushkin with a +4, McKinnon +4, Lehkonen +4, Taves +4, Makar +5. That's 5 guys who are ± of +4.
And that was Nate's 12th goal in 13 games. He was scoreless in that Dallas game.
In 13 games? Okay.
Yeah, he didn't score. Yeah, he didn't score in the Dallas game.
Right, but I'm not saying it as like he's had 1 goal in each of the last 12 games. I think there's been like 2 goals somewhere there. So he's had 12 and 12. And not necessarily that he scored 12 in a row. It's just been 12 goals.
And also, for Cale to come out with this performance shortly after he had that sound blurb of, I get back in the lineup and we're losing games. Like, he took it on. Like, it's been bothering Cale. Like, the team was looking good. I joined the team, and now everything falls apart. And not just Cale stepping up, but Nuke. He hasn't looked right for the past couple games. Now he looks like Nichushkin. So this is what you want to see.
This is Peter Ball. Well, Peter Ball retweeted it. Bennett Durando, who he writes for the Denver Post, obviously. So he just put up a quote from Val Nichushkin. This is his first 4-point game since his rookie season.
Yep, against the Flames.
Was it against the Flames? Wow. I mean, as well as he's played since he's come over to the Avalanche, I thought maybe there was 1 4-point game somewhere in there, but no. So that's good, man. That's really good. So we're trying to get some quotes from Bednar. I don't really think he's going to have anything negative to say about this one.
You wouldn't think there. Honestly, this is one of those games that you would point back to in the film room. Like, this is exactly what you want to do. This is what we need to build on. And it's one of those that you need to point back to when you have an embarrassing loss and things fall apart like they have been. Like, what happened between here and here? What do we have to adjust? Because this is the Avalanche team we know they can be.
Right. Exactly. All right. A couple other things to get to with this game. Then, of course, we'll finish things up with our sound check. But first, we are going to hear from Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all of those fats and calories, then you've got to try Built Bar. We are into the month of March, and there's always time to get back onto that New Year's resolution horse. If you want to eat a little bit healthier, then you've got to include Built Bar in that healthy diet. What makes Built Bar so good? For starters, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Yes, Kyle, real chocolate. And they
The
come
realest
in
of the real.
unbelievably great flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut almond, and like we always say, check the website because they keep coming out with brand new flavors. What did they just drop, Mr.
Mint
Sullivan?
chocolate puff.
Hey now. And you're the puff guy.
I am.
So maybe we'll have to order those and we'll get a first-hand account from
Just
Mr.
call
Shaggy.
me Shaggy Von Puff.
Oh man, new Twitter account incoming. I don't know if the mint ones will be available in store. I know they're available online, but yes, if even if they're not, you can still go to places like Walmart and Sam's Club and pick up Built Bar firsthand. If you want to order them online, feel free. You can still go to built.com and use that promo code LOCKED15. You'll still get 15% off, but you can head into Walmart, head over to the pharmacy section and pick up a box of Built Bars yourself. You can get the cookies and cream and double chocolate or coconut puff. And Sam's Club even has a 13-bar box of the hit flavors brownie batter and churro. Check out Built Bar. We've talked about them often. They're delicious. They're awesome. They're healthy. They're good for you. And you can thank us later. All right. So yeah, what I love, like, yeah, we can talk about individual players, and I want to talk about Cale Makar. And I know there's a lot of people out there right now who are probably just taking this win with like a grain of salt because it was the Sharks. But like I said before, like nothing was guaranteed. I didn't go into this game thinking like this is going to be a slam dunk. I meant what I said in yesterday's episode, saying like I'm at the point with this Avalanche team. We're getting into the middle of March, and we've just had this up and down season. Do I expect that every single game? No. Are the Avs capable of that? Yes, they are. Yep. And they clearly showed it. And I think Cale Makar needed to have a game like this since coming back from, obviously what happened to him with his concussions, right? One, to just get hit. We're talking about team having confidence. I'm not saying Cale Makar lacks confidence, but since he's come back, it's, the Avs have been on that losing streak. You talked about his kind of tongue-in-cheek comment, but to have a 4-point night and a plus-minus, a +5, like everything he was just flying everywhere. And that one move that he made where he went around 3 different defenders and found Artturi Lehkonen was, I was just about to use the comment, and I think someone tweeted it out like vintage Cale Makar, and we're using vintage already for Cale Makar, like he's this antique that's been in the league for 17 years. He was fantastic, and you like seeing a guy who clearly can take over the ice, do that. So all of these little things, not even little, all these things that they kind of just ran over San Jose with. Now, I hate to say, you just want to see them do it again against a much better opponent in Los Angeles.
And I know we've been kind of jumping on the Sharks, but it wasn't too long ago they took Dallas to overtime, if I'm not mistaken.
They did, and they just beat Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's the other exactly.
And the day before, this is a back-to-back too.
Yes.
We kind of do have to throw that out there too. But they did just beat Winnipeg the night before in overtime, no less. But and Winnipeg is struggling a little bit, but it's neither here nor there. Don't care who's struggling. If San Jose beats you, that's not a good look for you.
Yeah, and it's 2 foes that have given the Avalanche problems that San Jose beat. So for Cale Makar to get out there and get his confidence, that's what you want to see. I guess the next guy to step up would be Erod. I've never seen a more snake-bitten player in my life. He's got to he's got to get one because he is trying his best and nothing's going in. But to see that discrepancy, twice he almost had one that was wide open that went off the post in the first period, and then he tried to go around and tuck one in, and that didn't go in. So he's having issues. But for Cale Makar to build on this is exactly what you want going into the rest of the stretch and deeper into March, which we've already talked about, can be difficult.
Are the Sharks? I mean, what is the long-term deal or plan for this? Like, you hear things like Chicago has a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona, it doesn't seem like it. They have a plan. The Sharks, all I heard was it's just like, oh, we're just going to fire sale everybody, and then we'll just, I guess, build through the draft. I think they're just doing I guess that would be the plan, but I just haven't heard what. It just seems like they want to get rid of everybody and just start completely over. They still have Carlson, obviously, who was very unhappy at the end of that game. He got removed he launched his helmet across the ice.
Yeah.
That's when your coach just went off a couple days ago. So it just seems like even knowing that your team is going to struggle for the season, it seems like it's reached a boiling point for the Sharks, where your coach has lost his temper, not in this game. But in this game, Carlson did. And I get it. Like, he had a bloody mouth and nothing was called. But to do that, to kind of take your helmet and launch it across the ice, I think this team they just want to get to the finish line with this season. And what are they going to do in the offseason? I don't know. This team is just gone into free fall.
It's the first year for this new GM. Honestly, you saw Patty Kane leave Chicago for this reason. You don't want to stick around to watch the team completely rebuild from scratch. And that's what the Sharks are going through. And they're putting themselves in an optimal position to start getting some prospects and some draft picks and really build from the ground up and not just kind of stay in the 6th or 7th spot in the West and just constantly be there forever. You have to accept where you are as a team and just rebuild. And that's where the Sharks are. Yes, you could get easy 2 points off them this year, but guess what? In a couple of years, they might be knocking on the door of Colorado. So it's a good, easy 2 points now, but it will come back to haunt you in a couple of years.
If they make the right moves.
Yes, true.
That's always the caveat you have to put with this is like, you're wanting to go through a rebuild and you have to draft well. You do have to sign free agents. You have to get the right people, and that's not guaranteed either.
Nope.
So we'll see. And I did want to just say, Curtis McDermott obviously went into the boards and then immediately went into the locker room. And the thing that sucks about that is there was minutes left in the game when that happened.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's kind of fluky things can happen even when, 6-0, you're trying to just be safe, roll your lines out, do short shifts, just get to the end of the game. And then something like that can happen. So I don't see any update on him just yet. Probably not going to come tonight, but you feel bad for him because he just came back. And
looking pretty good too.
Yeah. I mean, everybody did. So. All right, last bit of info to get to is our sound check. So Kyle and I pick 2 songs that we feel best summarize the most recent action. Those songs go over to a playlist over on Spotify. If you want to follow that, just open up the app, search for LOA Soundcheck, volume number 2, and follow along as we add these 2 songs to that playlist. Who do you got?
Coming from the heavy metal punk guy, we're going with a good one.
Okay.
X is going to give it to you. DMX, baby.
The late great, right? The late great.
Rest and power, my DMX. Oh, I love DMX. But this is Here We Go Again. We've been here. We have celebrated. The Avs are back, baby. And then what is going on with the Avs? And the Avs are back, baby. Here we go again. It's nice. We're here. This is what you want to see. But let's keep it this way.
I like it. I like when you need to flip the script every once in a while and throw a different genre in there. And I'm kind of kind of do the same thing. One of my all-time favorite artists grew up on Beck. Absolutely love Beck, and one of those guys that you can't really pigeonhole him into one genre because he's kind of all over the place. But he had a song called Hell Yes, and that's exactly what I'm going with for obvious reasons. Just because that's what I just felt like when this like I usually watch Avalanche games like just intently and every like detail, and I'm writing a ton of notes, and I still did that with this game. But there were moments in like the third where I went into the kitchen and got myself a seltzer water or something like this, just because it was okay to miss some things, and because you had this game was in hand, and it let me let out a like hell yes by the end of this one. So,
and I love that at the end of the year when everybody's listening back to this playlist, they'll be like, oh, that must have been during a good stretch.
Yeah. Oh, you can tell. If you're going through this playlist, you know where the losses are and where the wins are. So, follow along. It's fun. All right. That's going to wrap it up for today. We will be back tomorrow with anything new and exciting going on, and probably getting ready for that LA Kings game because that's going to be a big one. All right. It's going to wrap it up for today, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Obviously, it's always appreciated. For Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you later.